I think I got it working. So I feel kind of bad, that last video, I was trying to recreate this rock, paper, scissors game. Let me show you the game right here. This is the one that I found on Twitter. And rocks trying to get the scissors trying to get the paper trying to get the rocks, and then if they get it, they switch. And I made a dumb mistake. You knew that was going to happen, right? You knew I just make a silly mistake. So let me show you the number one mistake. So let me explain the whole program in case you didn't see the previous gigantically long video. Watch this one instead. This is the short version. So the basic idea is to make n number of objects in a randomly distributed random rock, paper, scissors. So I make them spheres in WebVPython, and then I give it a color and I give it a type. So that's down here. So here's, is that big enough? I think that's big enough. So here's my 10 objects. That's the radius. RS is the size of this distribution, and then R is the radius of each object. Mass. K is the attractive repulsive force, because each one, a rock is going to be attracted to a scissor, and a scissor is going to be repelled from a rock, but they're not going to have the same forces, otherwise you'd never catch, right? It would just be like just falling around. C is a drag force to prevent things from going too fast, and that's the maximum speed. And I think I put both. I can't remember how I did that. So I put all the balls in a list, and then I go through and I set the type, I set the color. That's what that does right there. Set the colors, set the momentum, set the force. I give the force as a property of the object, so I can go through and say that object has a net force of this on there. And then I need to do two things. One, calculate the force between each and every item, right? So I have to do a double loop. But I made two functions. This first function, f, calculates the force between two things. And here is an important thing in here, this g factor. That's the differential factor between a rock chasing a scissor and a scissor repelling from rock. So they're not equal. Otherwise, it would never catch it, right? So I got to give an advantage to the attacker. This is my attacker advantage of 0.7. I made it up. You can change that. And then I go through and I look at all the different combinations of rock, paper, rock, and and calculate the forces. This other function is the one where I messed up. This is my battle function. So if I give it two objects, I want to say they battle, who wins? And what I did was I said, okay, I got rock versus paper, rock versus scissors, rock versus rock, scissor, paper, and then I was done. But I wasn't done because I got to do paper, rock. I got to do scissor, rock. I got to do all permutations, right? Because I'm giving it two objects. And if the first one was rock and the second was paper, that's fine. But the way I had it before, if I give it paper then rock, it's like, I don't know what, there is no thing. So I don't know what to do. And it never returned. And that was my fault. So I fixed that. I think I have all the options in there. So other than that, I think it works. So that there's some adjustments you can do, and I'm going to give you the link to this code. There's some adjustments you can do. Number one, you can change the attacker advantage, that G value. Number two, you can change the force, K, the force constant. You can change the drag force. And I do have, did I put? Yeah, and so here, there's another thing, how close, I should put that as a constant, how close do they have to get before the battle even occurs? So I put 0.1, maybe it should be a little bit, what's my, let's put it at this. How about we put it at 2R? Then they touch. So let's see, so I have R is, so I have it as 0.1, yeah, so that actually be closer. So let's do 2R. 2 times R. And then I do the battle, and the battle returns two types, right? So it returns the type for the first one and the second one. So they could I'm going to change them. And then I go through here and I change the type of B1 and B2. And then I need to go change the color too, which I do later down here. I change the color 'cause it didn't, something weird worked over there, so I just changed it. Yeah. I know you want what you want. You want me to run it. Now, this is in 2D. I haven't done 3D yet. So I'm going to run it in 2D. We'll change it to 3D and see what happens. Okay, so in the situation like this, maybe I need to put a boundary, right? If it gets too far away, it has to come back or something. Because right here, the game's never going to end. Well, the time will end. Because these guys are just going to flee. These cyan things, I can't remember what. Yellow is rocks. So those must be papers. They don't know how to catch it. Let's just run it again. Oh, that. And now, remember, when they're the same thing, there's no forces between them. So they can move apart, but they don't really gather. And so again, we just get to this case right here. I don't know in the game if it had a boundary or not. Let's go back over and look. Yeah, there must be some boundary pushing them back in. So I can add that. I'm not gonna do that today, but I could add that. Let's run this one more time, and then I'm gonna increase the number. I'm pretty happy. I like this when it splits them and it doesn't know what to do. Okay. See, that you can have an advantage of the single ones. As long as they can catch, they can convert some stuff to them. Right here, you see that? He was chasing, but because of the attacker advantage, he was able to catch it. This is really fun. I'm really having a great time. Okay, let's switch it to more. So this is 10. Let's try 30. I don't know if it's going to just go crazy or not. That's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited. That's pretty cool. With the fish effect, right? When you have a shark going into a school of fish and they all scatter. That's what happened right there. Now, this is funny. The kind of just, there's one of these left. And I think it's going to end, the time's going to end before. And what's going to happen? These guys are like, hey, I'm not coming in. There's no, the force is super tiny. The ones in the middle don't know what to do because there's forces all over. There's a lot of cool stuff here. Okay, let's do it in 3D. So remember when I made this, my random vector right here, I put the z component to 0. Let's make it not 0. And I think this may dynamically change the factor of the game in a lot of different ways because interactions in 3D are way more complicated. But I don't know. 2 times random minus 1. Go. And this is in 3D. I should turn on trails too, but I don't see as many. There are some battles. Okay. You can rotate this around. This is pretty cool. But see, then we get to that situation which I call, there's 2 groups and the outer group and an inner and outer group. Let's just try 50 just for effect, and then I will give you the code and you can play with this. I'm pretty happy. Maybe I'll write this up as a blog post too. I'm not sure. Rotate this around. I was thinking about making trails too, so you could see it better. Let's do that. Let's add trails and see what happens. Nice. Oh, this is great fun. Oh, look at the in and out like that. Ooh. Okay. So, a couple things. Trails. Down here, here's where I add the sphere. Let's do make trail equals true. And then I think it's retain equals 50. That I don't want to keep the trail going on forever. That'll just keep 50 points in the trail. Let's see if that works. Yeah. But the trail doesn't... Oh, so the trail's the original color of the things, which are all clear, but that's fine. That does look pretty cool. It's hard because it's in 3D. It's kind of hard to see what they're doing, but I like that. I'd make the trails a little bit shorter, but it also tells you about their speed because the longer a trail... Oh, look at that oscillations. They're just zoop. This is great. This is great fun. Wow. I thought at the end of the last video I spent 45 minutes. I thought it'd be just, that's it. I just failed. I'm a failure. But, you know, you just play around with the code a little bit. You try printing some stuff. You try seeing where it fails. And you kind of troubleshoot where it gets to it. I tried to do that in the previous video. But you know, it already gone 45 minutes. So what I said, 2 things. What else was I going to change? Let's add the trails. I can make this run for a longer time. Let's try one more thing. Let's go for broke 100. You'll notice the speed of the interactions is way faster because they're packed in to the same amount of space. But it is going a little bit slower because there's a lot of stuff in there. But oh, this isn't physics. This is art right here. Look at that. I'm really glad I added the trails. Yes. Okay. So, and we're getting back to that thing where the cyan is what I think that's paper. Paper is all up. Oh, now they're all coming in. So we could add like a counter to see who's winning, but the other thing that if you want to modify this, which you can totally do, right? Because you have the code. I'm giving you the code. You could put some type of artificial boundary on there. Say once things get a certain distance, and there's an inwards pushing force to push them back in, and it would make it like a boundary. I might add that in there. It looks like the whole thing's moving. That's the other thing that is interesting. Is momentum conserved? No. Is what happens to the center of mass? It's going to be moving because we have an unequal forces on these particles. So it's possible for two particles to just move off. It's not a conservative system. It's not a real force. It's for fun. Why are these trails so long? I think the whole thing just kind of, it just kind of moved away and the camera didn't follow with it. So I had to follow with it. I don't think anyone's going to win here. Let's try one more time. I maybe have too many for someone to win. Huh. I wonder if you're more likely to have a winner in 2D. I suspect. Oh, look at that. Notice they all flee, and then when the battle finishes in the middle, then they all contract. That's pretty cool. Okay, the end. Code down below. Watch the previous video if you want. Modify the code. Make it your own game. But most importantly, have fun out there.